All right, so by show of hands, how many of you have cared for another person due to illness, disability, or because someone you know needed assistance with daily activities? All right, you are one of an estimated 48 million Americans who have taken on the important role of caregiving. Okay, hands back up. So for those of you who have your hands raised, do any of these words or terms reflect your experience? Emotionally distressed, burned out, isolated, financially strained, or just that feeling of being overwhelmed? Well, now, in all fairness, while caregiving is stressful, it also has some positive aspects, such as a sense of purpose or fulfillment and satisfaction of knowing that your care is the best care. Caregivers often juggle multiple responsibilities, including medical tasks, emotional support to the care receiver, and providing daily living assistance. Now, arguably, the experience of caregiving is most challenging when caring for someone with dementia due to its progressive nature. Nearly 7 million older adults in the U.S. have Alzheimer's dementia, making it one of the most costliest conditions to society. Here is my grandfather. He lived with Alzheimer's disease and required around-the-clock care at the end of his life. He passed away in 2019, and consistent with research on mortality risk for caregivers, my grandmother, who was his caregiver, passed away less than 4 years later. Given that caregivers are dedicating an average of 24 hours per week to caregiving tasks, or 31 hours if caring for someone with dementia, are there any resources available to help alleviate the burden? Yes, but resources are often limited, costly, and inaccessible. So, what do we need more of? Respite services that provide temporary relief for caregivers, allowing them to take their much-needed breaks. This gives them time to rest, time to travel, and to care for their own needs, which are often neglected. Respite care is essential, but maintained for caregiver health. Now, not just any respite services such as those provided in adult daycare programs, those are important, but I'm talking about what we need more of is respite services that are provided in the home because it allows the care receiver to be in a safe and familiar place. In comparison to those facility-based care respite services, in-home respite allows caregivers to tailor the services specific to their loved one. Offers more flexible scheduling, and it reduces the risk of infection that you might see in a communal living space. 10 years ago, I created an intervention in which students in my course, 2 of whom are shown here, provided in-home respite breaks for dementia caregivers. This allowed students to simultaneously learn about the impact of dementia on individuals, families, and communities. Because of the opportunity to take a break, a caregiver in my study was able to build this very impressive fountain in her backyard, while the students were in the house engaging her husband in a tailored activity, tailored to him and his culture. Guess what they were doing? They were playing Motown music. The caregivers in my study did report positive outcomes, including a moment to have to themselves and the affordability of the program, of course, and an opportunity for their care receiver to socialize. I was onto something, but along came COVID-19, which hindered my ability to be able to provide in-home services. So I had an idea. What if I could duplicate the same model but deliver respite services virtually? I could still offer the course, I could still pair students with families, I can provide these tailored activities and give a caregiver the break. So on that day, I gave birth to virtual house guests. Figuring out a way to reach caregivers was important because in comparison to non-caregivers, caregivers during the pandemic actually experienced worse physical, mental, social, and financial health. Their use of community-based services was reduced, and they had difficulty finding time for themselves. So imagine a scenario where Mr. Smith, whose world travels had to end after his dementia diagnosis. His symptoms are mild, but he's starting to be withdrawn and isolated. Mrs. Smith, who is still employed, uses her time off to take her husband to his medical appointment. How can virtual respite help? In this photo, Mr. Smith is reliving his world travels using Google Earth, as you know, a 3D satellite image of any place on the earth, accompanied virtually by 2 graduate students who go with him on his journeys. Where did they go? In using Google Earth, they explored various locations, and this is a true story, such as China, India, Egypt, New York, places that Mr. Smith loved and holds dear. There's laughter, there's rapport building, and guess what Mrs. Smith got to do during her time? Yes. Mrs. Smith had stepped away into the room to engage in her self-identified, which is very important, self-identified self-care activity. All she wanted to do was take a 1-hour nap. So family caregiving is essential yet challenging, and hey, virtual respite just might provide some relief. Now, until my program is scaled nationally, in case there are any funders in the room, okay? Here are some ways that you can help family caregivers. You can educate yourself about their challenges. You can just provide emotional support by being a listening ear. You can also be an advocate for legislation that supports caregiver funding and resources. And I leave you with this quote by Rosalind Carter, First Lady of the United States from 1977 to 81. There are only 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregiving. Thank you.